Welcome to the Talk Funny podcast by NagoyaComedy.com. This is Stephen Hawkins. After meeting his wife, I finally understand the comedy of Mark Bailey. As Mark Bailey says, it's not a felony if you only dream about it. Talk funny, because the universe is infinite, but their jokes are finite. And now the the moment he has been waiting for. Here's Mark Bailey.
Welcome back to Talk Funny, NagoyaComedy.com. You can contact us at Nagoya Comedy Facebook page, NagoyaComedy.com, or AskPortJapan@Yahoo.com, our email, if you have any comments. And I'm Mark Bailey. We've got Steve Howard, Mike Miller, and Tofie. Steve Howard has some things to ask Tofie. So here's Steve B. Howard.
All right, so apparently you have a story about a Japanese garbage lady that you wanted to tell us?
Well, the house I used to live in, the garbage collection point for non-combustibles was like a minute away. It was very close. So I go to throw my garbage one day, and I just hear, "Oh, sumimasen." I'm like, "Oh," and this lady comes up. And, you know, bless them, they try with their wigs, but I can see the wrinkles. At this point, I know Japanese, but I can still pull off the, I don't know Japanese card whenever I need to use it. And she's like, she's basically saying, I can't throw these here. I'm like, well, according to the map I have, given to me by the real estate agency, this is where I'm supposed to throw the garbage. And she's like, no, you don't live here, you live there. I'm like, yes, but... First of all, how the hell does she know that? Secondly, that's the map that I have. I wasn't about to go all the way back home with the garbage in my hand, look for the map in my roommate's room, bring it with me, shove it in my pants because it's too big for a pocket, carry the garbage all the way back again, shove it in her face for her to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, throw it here." And then she told me where I was supposed to throw it. And it was literally like 5 steps in the another direction. Calm down. You're a guest in the country. Calm down.
You're an Arab, and Arabs don't get angry? Ever?
As she's saying this, as she's telling me this, I'm telling her, but according to I'm showing her that I'm abiding by the rules. It's just my rules are different than yours. As I'm saying this, the truck pulls over, and she's like complaining to the truck, and you can tell that the truck guy does not give a damn about any of this, and he goes to collect the garbage from both places, so they're going to wind up in the exact same truck. Like, why on earth are you making such a cow of this? So I'm like, okay, I don't speak Japanese. I'm like, nihongo wa chatto, bye bye. I put the garbage. I have to go to class. I have too much. I have more important things than that thing.
But I'm assuming you know the word in Japanese for anal, though, right?
No, is that tadashi or is that sugoi?
Believe me, Steve, he knows anal.
Oh, hey, yo.
Well, actually, I seduce in English. I'm still not that good at seducing in Japanese.
English.
Yeah, so anyway, then I tell my roommate about this, and he has something magical about him. He never gets into trouble. When he goes to throw the non-combustibles, no one gives him any lip. So I'm assuming, okay, so I guess she found out that we were right, and she was wrong. And then, the last time I had to do this, I went and I was throwing them away, and I hear, "Sumimasen." Oh, she remembers me. She's like, yes, she's like, "You can't throw them here." I'm like, but according to the map, this is where I throw them, and I had a new card this time. When my roommate threw them here, he was given no lip. And I told her this in Japanese. I told this politely in Japanese. And she was like, "Oh, no, blah, 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 you don't live here." Same arguments over and over again. Okay, I'm just going to leave them here, and that's it. And she's like, no, you have to take them somewhere else. So, okay, I'm like, okay, sure. I'm going to go to this other place. So I go to the other place, and I throw them there. I did not want any trouble. That afternoon, I get an email from the university telling me that, you were throwing them in the wrong place.
Jeez.
And that we received complaints that you were throwing them in the wrong place. I was about to mail them saying, tell them that I have a mental condition called logic. Garbage is gonna wind up in the same place.
It's the same truck!
One foreigner throwing it in a different location is not the beginning of the apocalypse, Japan. 99% of you follow rules to a T. You do not cross the street light if it's red, even if there are no cars, even if we are in rice patch country. You'll be fine if I don't throw them in the right place. And you need to get another job, lady. Nobody gives a damn about the garbage. And but when I think about saying this to people, I always think that failed state guy said what? Like anything I say will be tainted by the fact that I come from a failed state. So any opinions I have will lead to failure. So I'm so like, ooh, you know, like I'm not my government. They're stupid and corrupt. I'm good. I'm here because I am competent. You know what I mean?
But you could always counter that with high school dropout. What did you ask me? High school dropout?
Oh.
Truck driver?
Oh.
Truck drivers. Mike Miller at Nagoya Comedy. No.
It's actually Mueller.
So we're going to.
God bless your uncle.
We're going to end. We're going to end with letting you finish your roommate story. In an earlier show, I have to reiterate. Steve and Mike and myself are regular Nagoya comedy performers. We do try to do about one show a month. Coming up on our 30th show. Very excited about that. And in only a period of 2.5 years, it's pretty amazing. Compared to like when Misfits, I think they did like 3 to 5 shows. We've done almost 30. And then Steve mentioned that I have a... why do you think I have a problem with folk singers? Just because like our worst show ever was with a folk singer audience. So I have this theory that we played this club, which we like this club, so we're not going to name it in this story, because they had us back and we sold out at this club. It's a club in the Sakai area. And we like these guys, but our first showing there was not a good first impression. And what happened was we were opening for a good friend of ours, I can name Tom Fallon. He's a good friend of ours. He's got a rock band. And this time he was doing acoustic solo. And then he invited some other folk singers on. And so, okay, he goes, well, you know, it's a folk singer audience, but I mean, you guys can come on and do comedy. And sure, what could go wrong? Folk singer audience, no sense of humor. Folk singer, kumbaya, let's get along. And I'm like, you know, my wife tried to poison her 3 times. What the hell is wrong with Chinese poison? I bought some poison. Dog food from China is poison. Poison from China is not poison. It's defective. It's perfectly fine for you. So I'm doing that kind of stuff, you know.
Can get you drunk, yeah.
So I was with one of our dear old friends, Miles, Victor, long old time friend of mine from New York. So Victor and Miles and myself, and we were going to be the face of comedy in Nagoya, our first impression at this new club where we wanted to have a good relationship in front of all these folk singers and their fans. We were drinking, and then we realized that we are now 27 minutes late for the show, and we're the openers. So so we run down the street. I could barely see by this time, half my eyes and half too high, right?
Oh my God!
And so we come on, and then Victor goes on and he goes, we're late because we've been drinking all night. So it's like, you know, maybe not say that, maybe not a good impression, right? So he goes, so he introduces Miles. Miles gets on, and Mike's heard the audio. Have you heard the audio?
No, I haven't.
I want to hear the full audio.
And Miles gets on, and he in the first 8 minutes of his incoherent rant. So he mentions the club, and the club is kind of a term that includes Canada, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, everything but U.S. It's a 3-word term, used to mean under the Queen's domain. And he said, you know, basically I looked at that website, it hasn't been updated in 8 years, by the way. This is he's dissing the club. And he said, you know, that's basically a way to say, screw you, America! You know, and so he insults the club. He insults the club owner. He insults the location. He insults the MC. He insults the bartender. He insults the folk singers. And he goes, so stay tuned for the rest of the show. So, and then Tom Fallon, who invited us, said, get off the stage. You're not funny.
Oh.
So then when I got on, the audience has turned on us already. So it's a long story, but what I realized was they are Peter, Paul. Do you know Peter, Paul, and Mary, the folk singer?
I've heard of them in the Britney Spears song.
Yeah, Puff the Magic Dragon, live by the stick.
I know Simon and Garfunkel. I love them very much. And Tony Mitchell.
Okay,
yes.
Simon and Garfunkel, perfect example. They came to see Simon and Garfunkel. La 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 la.
Yes.
And I get up, The Boxer. That's a song called The Boxer.
Yes.
We might pop that in. So I get up and I say, how hard can it be to poison your wife anyway, right? So that's my opening line. And you can hear the gasps in the audience. Like, oh, he's been drinking. It's a comedian. I'm a comedian. I'm you know. So what we figured out later, we didn't know what was going on at the time.
He needs to find Dylan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, when is he going to sing Kumbaya? Tell a joke about Kumbaya. Hey, Kumbaya, Kumbaya, mofo. So what we figured out is they were there to see Peter, Paul, and Mary or Simon and Garfunkel. And what came on stage was a band called Slipknot. Do you know Slipknot?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The lead singer is really cute, yeah. That's how I know them, otherwise.
So basically, it's kind of like in music, they expect Simon and Garfunkel and the Ramones come on, you know, or Slipknot comes on. So I did my set, and then I saved it with a closer, which always works, and I got off. And then one of the guys, BV will be his initials, is an Australian guy who was playing. He was one of
Ben Vereen?
And I said, yeah, and he goes, "So lady, you're my lady." No, so I sat down and he goes, "Have you comics been drinking?" And I'm like, "Kid, do you know how ridiculous that question is? Have you Jews been complaining? Have you Arabs been plotting?"
Whoa!
How dare you?
I was going to say bombing, but...
Well, we learned from the best, yeah.
Whoa!
Have you Americans...
Yeah,
fair game. Have you Americans been getting diabetes every day? You know, so it's like, hey, just my advice, but don't drink before you perform. And I'm like, I'm not a folk singer, moron. Shut up. Mike Miller, M-I-L-L. Don't tell me not to do anything.
You will not make a friend.
So the happy part of the story is, despite our bad first impression, we did a snowstorm show and we sold out. You know, snowing. I'm not gonna stay home.
We should refer to it as the January miracle.
Yeah.
Literally, there was standing room only. They were like, what, 40 people?
Yeah, it was nuts.
Never seen it like that.
So let's finish this. We didn't finish your Revenge of the Roommate story.
Well, it's yet to... Well, okay, so...
Yeah, I mean, you know, Arab history is like thousands and thousands of years old, but we don't have that much time. So can you do a short version of that?
Short version. Okay, so he took the scale. I took everything else in the house. I find out from a friend that he wants to cut the internet in the house. I live in the house. He can't do that without telling me when. Right? And when I told him, why should I find out from a friend that you're about to do this? He's like, oh, should I tell you when I'm going to go to the bathroom? And it's just clear that this person does not like to apologize. And it's clear that he lost the first revenge round because I got all the stuff in the house. That's why he wants to get something back.
If you were Danny Thomas, you'd say, yeah, let me know before you're going to go to the bathroom.
Make room for Danny.
Yeah. So I decided that the bills are all in his name. And 2 + 2 = 4. And that's the end of it.
Well, when you said piano, I was thinking this foreshadowing. There might be piano wire involved, but thankfully not.
No. But we talked about bills and not paying them in the beginning.
So in the next show, we're gonna I'm gonna have a homophobic joke. I'm gonna try on you, and
oh please,
yeah. And then can you move your chair a little bit further away from me? And then I'm kidding.
Then we're gonna have letters of complaints from listeners.
I'm gonna write a joke for Steve, a homophobic joke for Steve to ask you. Does it help you?
Right. We're gonna apologize to the FCC.
Yeah, that's STLR.
All right, this has been Talk Funny. This is NagoyaComedy.com. This is our podcast. You can contact us at assportjapan@yahoo.com. Please don't ask why. It's a long story, but that's the best way for us to filter out spam and things like that. Debt collectors and gas bills and things like that. We will be back next week with Steve Howard, Mike Miller. I want to say Steve Miller. Abracadabra. I want to reach out and grab you. They don't write songs like that anymore.
Kevin Spacey's song?
I want to reach out and grab you. We'll be back next week with Talk Funny. Thanks. This has been Talk Funny on NagoyaComedy.com.